In 1964, an earthquake caused a large slab of clay from the banks a quarter of a mile upstream on the Bitterroot River to fall. The clay bank traveled downstream and created the island by the Clubhouse floodplain. 4 generations of the Schrader family cared for the land and installed an intricate underground irrigation network that surfaces at springs. In response to the clay bank's fall, Bob Schrader dug a quarry in Sheep Camp and added rocks in the river to create a riprap that blocked off the old channel. Riprap deflects the current to the west around what we call the Clubhouse floodplain. The Schraders wanted to increase the amount of wetland habitat on the floodplain, so they built small ponds with a bulldozer. The Little Canyon Shooting Preserve was established in 1996, and a sporting clays range operated in the area for about 10 years. During the 10 years, groups shot up to 2,500 shells per day. We wanted to excavate the areas contaminated with lead. We also noticed very little grew in places where supposed biodegradable clay targets had fallen. The targets are made of calcium carbonate and sulfur, which oxidizes to sulfuric acid and creates toxic, acidic soil. Our options were to remove the constructed ponds and make a small stream flowing through the floodplain, or excavate the soil to create a wetland. We monitored water table elevations over the course of a year and found there wasn't enough water for a stream, so we decided to create wetland habitat. The stream plan was for fishery purposes. The wetland plan was to improve habitat for nesting waterfowl and wading birds, such as snipes, avocets, phalaropes, and the sorrel we see calling. We hear the resounding call of an American bittern. It walks through tall vegetation at Angela Farm. American bitterns have declined due to degradation and loss of wetland habitat. A trail camera picture of an American bittern on the northern floodplain at MPG is what catalyzed the idea to create a wetland. We worked with Territorial Landworks to create a pond design that provides shallow water and habitat for wetland vegetation. The lack of organic matter and nutrients in river deposits impeded the establishment of vegetation. It takes a long time for organic matter to develop in a natural backwater habitat to support the plant rush communities we desired.
Heading south from where we stand, back around it will be a boardwalk following the curvature of the bank. There will be 2 separate, deeper channels. All of this will be underwater.
This project coincided with reconstructing the road system. In 2011 and 12, we excavated gravel for use in the pond and on the roads. The round gravel we found was good floodplain gravel, and the angular gravel was good road gravel. We filled the pit back up with 60,000 cubic feet of gravel. We needed organic matter to work into the coarse alluvial floodplain soil, so we used compost from an old feedlot near the ranch entrance.
This is kind of a shore area where people can canoe up this deeper channel and actually stop right here. The banks have been sloped back. It tapers out real gradual in this area, so a person could actually wade out. And this is also connected to a good tide to access the island from canoe.
This is the north end of the project area. This will be mostly open water.
Once we excavated the wetland, we established vegetation. We tried a variety of methods to establish vegetation in the water, and riparian vegetation around its edges. The goal was to cover the wetland with vegetation and provide nesting and rearing habitat for secretive wading birds like the American bittern, excited soras, the area provides habitat for great blue herons, sandpiper species, and killdeer. Jeff Clark pushes a boat full of bulrushes to the other end of the pond. The field crew transplanted bulrushes in 2013, 14, and 15. Joe Locatelli ferries a load of bulrushes from the north end of the Oxbow channel of the river to the Clubhouse Restoration project. At the north end of the floodplain, the restoration crew, Jeff, Everett, Tanner, and Joe, retrieve bulrushes and sedges. They have to dig deep to get all the bulrushes' rhizomes. Jeff tries to get the entire rhizome of this large bulrush and ensure it survives transport. The crew plants the bulrushes on the south end of the pond. We added compost to the pond, which resulted in a high nutrient level in the water, but the compost created algal blooms. The algal blooms covered small plant plugs we transported and seeds we broadcast. We need the nutrients from the compost in the pond to establish a thick muck layer, but it will take a few more years for the nutrients to cycle into the muck layer. We transplant rushes that stick up above the algae to ensure the algae mats will not shade and suffocate the rushes.
It's pretty much textbook.
Jeff plants the large bulrush he dug up on the north end of the pond. Your hole not big enough?
Not deep enough.
It's one of the big ones.
Too big.
Some of the transplants and seeded areas have struggled to establish, but this year we expect success. The bulrushes we transported look vibrant and are heavy with seeds, which will feed migrant waterfowl and mallards when they return to breed. We intend for the habitat on the south end of the pond to resemble the north end. If the bulrushes establish, rhizomes will spread. We hope the aquatic transplants take over the open water of the Clubhouse Pond.